Welcome to episode 27. We have got an absolutely jam-packed episode with so much going on this week. So strap yourselves in. It's the Geek Week in Review.
The Geek Week in Review.
Hello and welcome back to the Geek Week in Review with me, Jacob's Toys, of course, the wonderful one and only Super Sorrel, and of course, Ryan Speaks Geek. This is episode 27. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please do like, share, subscribe, all of those things if you listen on YouTube. And if you're one of our podcast listeners, then please continue to download and share. All support on the podcast is very much appreciated. And it has been a mammoth week. There's been so much going on, so much dropped, so much revealed. I don't really know where to start, to be fair.
I think that we got to start with the elephant in the room. While I look like I'm on a chaise lounge, I'm not. This is not like the super chill Geek Week in Review. I've been part of the ping system, so I'm currently isolating. So I'm in the spare room, but I'm having to do it on the bed. So friends wondering where my beautiful background is, or while I look like I'm just going, hey, I'm just the chillest geek around, or as. Just before this video, viewers, you'll be know that I got compared to Babe Station. So remember, if you're looking for local geeks in your area, please call the number that Jake will provide now.
I'm not providing any number.
You look like you should have been looking off camera and just gone, oh, hi. It's me. Like one of those kind of videos.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. One thing to note as well is this is our last episode before Christmas, and none of us are wearing a Christmas hat. What a shame. What a missed opportunity. But of course, this is going to be our last episode before Christmas. I will say now at the beginning of the video, though, next week is going to be our end of year video. So kind of our geek year in review. And we're going to be looking back at some of our favorite figures, our favorite TV shows, our favorite movies, Disney Plus moments, etc. So make sure you do tune in next week. It'll be going live on the normal dates and normal times and normal platforms. So that will be our kind of end of year Geek Week in Review show next week. But to the week in hand, I think the first thing we've got to talk about is obviously Spiderman No Way Home. And we're not actually going to talk about it. We're not going to. Ryan actually shut his camera off. We're not actually going to talk about it because obviously it is still quite fresh in the cinemas and movie theaters. And there are people that obviously haven't had the opportunity to go and see it. Me and Sorrel, not together, but in very different places. We were lucky enough to see it on the day that it came out. Ryan, unfortunately, is still waiting because he is obviously self-isolating. And there are other people that obviously because of work, family, etc., they haven't had the opportunity to see it. If you haven't seen it yet, my advice would be to stay as far away from the internet as possible because there are leaks, there are clips, there are plot twists, there are spoilers all over the place.
Did you notice though the kind of spoilers and stuff didn't come out until it hit American cinemas? It kind of stayed quiet while it was in the UK. We all kind of kept it hush. Soon as it hit American cinemas, TikTok became a wash.
Yeah,
just leaks.
It's because we're English, darling. That's what we do.
Yeah.
No, I was. They asked us not to spoil it, and we politely agreed. Like
it was, got in a queue for no reason.
But no, but you are right. I mean, obviously, after Friday, they're just like TikTok, just literally video after video. And you know, credit where credit's due. Most of the creators on there are giving spoiler warnings before going into their videos and stuff. But things like YouTube, there are so many leaks, and they're in subtitled languages and stuff. So it's kind of other cinemas and stuff like that people are filming it and getting away with filming certain clips and certain moments and obviously certain big plot twists and stuff. But yeah, do try your best to kind of stay away from those if you haven't seen it, because I mean, me and Sorrel did do a video. Sorrel went to see an early showing of the day, and I went to see one of the late ones. And then we actually got together about 1 o'clock in the morning. I think it was, wasn't it? It was like 1 o'clock in the morning.
1 till 2:30, wasn't it? We recorded.
Spider-Man. but it was because it was just the only way I can liken it. I was talking to one of my friends about it, and I'm trying without giving any spoilers away. There's no spoilers in this at all. But it made me feel very much like a kid at the cinema, if that makes sense. And, you know, being the age that I am, you know, I enjoy going to see films. I absolutely love the cinema. But this was the first film in a long time where I was absolutely hooked, like from beginning to end. Like there wasn't a missed moment or a wasted kind of scene or anything. It all just felt, and I just felt like a kid again. And that's part of the beauty of it, I think, personally.
Yeah, for me, I regret going to the 10:30 showing in the morning because I had nobody to talk to until 1 a.m. So I was literally sat all day going, I want to talk to somebody about this.
Just talking like saying to your wife, hey, do you want to talk about Spider-Man?
literally, I came home from the cinema. I was sat at my desk eating my lunch. I was like, there's literally nobody to talk to about this right now.
No. But you know, it's good. And me and Cyril did do a video, so it is available on the channel. So if you want to have a little listen to kind of our thoughts, and I've had more since, because I went and saw it again with my eldest boy, and I've got even more thoughts now than when we put that video out. So I think that says a lot for the film. But what we can talk about is that its box office numbers. Obviously, it's hit 230 billion, 230 billion, I think, something like that. All I do know is it's the third biggest opening for a Marvel, like an MCU film, of all time, and that's after obviously Endgame and Infinity War. And when you take into account the pandemic and obviously people not going to the cinema and going to the movies, etc., I think that speaks volumes for what this film has achieved. It's really
253 billion.
53. Wow.
It's been estimated by the end of this week, because more kids are off this week. They're estimating a minimum of 587 billion, which is insane.
Wow, that is absolutely unbelievable. And obviously, Tom Holland has, before the film even came out, there was talk about him obviously being signed on to another 3 films, or three goes at Spider-Man. So that's not necessarily 3 movies, but there's definitely going to be 3 more opportunities that we get to see Tom Holland Spider-Man.
And I've got a feeling that it'll be extended again. He's only 23. He's only young, and he loves playing the role so much. He's like that was his dream role, and he's got it. And I don't see him letting go anytime soon.
No, it's the potential there is phenomenal. Although he did say in an interview recently that he wanted to take some time away from it to have children and stuff. And I just thought, mate, trust me, from someone that's got kids, like just play Spider-Man for a few more years, like do that and then have kids. Like there's always time.
Imagine if he did, like say that he did take, he did these 3 movies, then he took a little bit of time out. We'd be ready for a Spider-Man break by that point. To be fair, we'd be on Spider-Man 6, so it'd be like, if he came,
and then he comes back a little older and then trains Miles Morales.
That's what I was gonna say. And then he comes back he comes back and he's the older Spider-Man. He's the one that trains the younger Spider-Man. That would be amazing.
Very cool. That would be very cool.
Passing of the torch.
But there is so much to digest in that film. So I think what we'll do is maybe once, a couple of weeks' time, obviously we will talk about it on the show at some point. But for the meantime, if you want to hear our thoughts, then go and check out that other video. I'll put a link to the video in the description. But yeah, it's phenomenal. It's blowing all sorts of records. It's just an awesome piece of cinema. And I think the one last thing I'll say on it is that there's been a few, I won't say any names, but there's been a few kind of directors and movie producers and stuff that have really slated superhero films and said how they're destroying cinema and they're destroying filmmaking and all the rest of it. And I just think it's absolutely poetically beautiful that Spider-Man has pretty much kind of single-handedly led the way to kind of rescuing cinema after all this pandemic and stuff. 250 billion in the opening weekend is phenomenal. So yeah, put that in your whatever in eat it,
6 hour film and smoke it.
So there we go. So that's it. So let's move on a little bit to unless there's anything you guys want to add to that without spoiling it. I can't.
Nope.
I'm trying to get onto it and off of it as quick as possible because I don't want to say something.
I think it's clear because I said that I was tired of Spider-Man spoilers that Retribution has found me. I guess that's I've angered the spider gods.
Your phone heard you say it.
I'm at the point where if I say anything, I'm likely to do not spoil it, but the things I want to say, the one I want to say about the film would give away something about the film.
Guys, so it's fine. I know that Yaddle's in it. Okay, it's already been spoiled for me.
Wrong franchise, Ryan. Wrong franchise. Come on, man.
It's all
your phone is picking up that you keep saying Spider-Man spoilers though, and that's why it keeps feeding them to you. It's the the internet listening. But let's move on. Let's talk about something we can talk about, which is obviously the penultimate episode of Hawkeye on Disney Plus.
Yeah, what an episode.
It just goes from strength to strength. I think it's like I've been of the camp that I've been really excited for Hawkeye since the beginning. It's one I've been really looking forward to. And I know that it's kind of turned a lot of people's opinions because a lot of people have kind of gone into it with no expectations and been really pleasantly surprised.
I'm like that, to be honest. I went into that. Hawkeye's not my favorite character by any means. I was not expecting big things from this program. I was expecting this to be a bit of filler between the end of WandaVision and Winter Soldier and the start of, the start of Mandalorian and Boba Fett. So yep. I was just thought this was going to be a filler, and I've enjoyed it like more than I've enjoyed Winter Soldier and WandaVision. To be fair, this has been like, more enjoyable, more relatable.
Yeah, I think that's what's so nice about the character in the comics. Not so much the older comics where he's obviously in his spandex with his big mask and stuff like that, but the kind of more modern comics that does write him as much more like humane character, and there's so many more levels to him and stuff. And that's what this show's doing. So that, the writers definitely know their stuff, and I think that's why it's almost forcing people to read those Hawkeye comics, if that makes sense. And people going, "Oh, he's actually a really cool character." Like it's yeah. No, I want to learn archery. Just look up like local archery.
Yeah, because I think like as well the thing about Hawkeye, you're right, it was not a lot of people's favorite in the films. But I've always found him one of the more interesting because he's the most vulnerable. Always thought he's the most vulnerable out of all of them. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really interesting, this series, because like I agree, even though I was like, oh, that'd be quite cool. I was definitely like you, Ash. I was just like, it's a filler series. Mm-hmm. However, I would actually argue that I think this has been the strongest episode awesomeness rating each episode than of all the Disney Plus series, because each Disney Plus there's been one or two episodes where maybe I thought in the middle of like Winter Soldier, What If, WandaVision, have been a couple that have been a bit like a bit up and down. I really feel like Hawkeye has genuinely, every episode I've watched, I've gone, that was better than that was awesome, that was better, this is even better, oh my god, what the shit just happened. I genuinely think this one has been just constantly getting better and better, and it started off on a really good high.
Let's not forget, the episode's runtime is 37 minutes, and 25 of those minutes this week were taken up with a conversation in the kitchen, and not one of us found that boring.
No.
Can I just put that out there, that nobody's complained that 20 minutes passed by of just Yelena saying the words Kate Bishop over and over and over.
That was such an awesome scene. One thing, my one complaint, and it's not so much about Hawkeye, but it's about the kind of no, it's not. It's more the kind of the pattern of Disney Plus shows is that we're now going into the last episode and we haven't seen the suit, and every single one has waited until like the last episode before you have the reveal of the kind of the suit. Do you know what I mean? Then like Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, now Hawkeye, Loki, not so much, but.
We went into this series, though, expecting this to be the swan song of Hawkeye, because that's the way it was headed. Now, I don't think so. I really don't think this is it now.
You think he's going to stick around?
He's got more to do. We've only just been introduced to Yelena. We've only just obviously had the big spoiler at the end of the last episode. So, I mean, there's a lot building in this, and I don't see him bowing out. Well, Kingpin is now the new thing. I don't see him just going, oh, I'll leave the big baddie to the new kids. Bye.
Yeah.
Funny you said that. That leads into my theory. You said about leave it to the new kids. My theory is that Hawkeye will run the Young Avengers-esque type team.
Oh, I feel that like theory.
Hawkeye will be the sort of the Nick Fury, like the caretaker, because they've joked about him babysitting lots and everything. And I think obviously two of the main ones have been in that. I mean, can you not see that being something really cool? Like he runs the team that takes on Kingpin.
Well, see, I can't say what I want to say now because of Spider-Man.
No, I know. Well, I just had a.
There is a line. There is a line in Spider-Man. Well, we already know Nick Fury's off world. We already know this. Nick Fury's off world. So he's not running S.H.I.E.L.D. right now. He's not running the Avengers. He's not running anything. He's off world. Hawkeye could take over as the new leader of the Young Avengers, and he could be he could become director Hawkeye, or you know what I mean? Use his real name, but he could become the director in chief, Director Barton. He could become that role. So when the new kids come up, he's the one they report to, and he reports to Nick.
See, I think he would be better if he was like the reluctant leader. Like he doesn't really want the job, but he knows there's no one else he can do it, and he kind of does it in honor of Natasha. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's that kind of reluctant Yeah, that'd be really cool. If that, I'll tell you what, Ryan, if that pans out,
I could be.
I'll bow my hat to you because I haven't even thought about that. That's amazing.
My one for the year. It comes in right at the end. That's where it is. He finally has a good theory, and it's right before the year ends.
Well, when we talk about theories, because obviously if you haven't watched the most recent episode of Hawkeye yet, obviously we're going to talk spoilers, but this goes out on a Monday and that comes out on a Wednesday, so you've got enough time. But obviously the big reveal at the end was, of course, for a split second, blink and you miss it, but Kingpin is back. He's back, and then in the credits you obviously see the silhouette of Kingpin as well, like looking over the so it's obviously been leading to that. It has been leading to that. Just saying, I called it. I did call it. It's exactly what I said, and it is, of course, Vincent. I can never say his name right. D'Onofrio.
You and surnames is a dangerous combination.
I'm awful with surnames. I didn't learn to spell my.
The Matrix Agent Smythe. No. Oh,
yeah. No, Smith I can handle, but
just call him Private Pile. It's fine.
Yeah. But obviously there was a lot of kind of like hint towards him coming back, and I said a couple of weeks ago that my theory was that he was going to be him, but obviously having him is incredible. I think it's great. Now, we don't obviously know at the moment whether this is the Kingpin that we know from Netflix and whether all those things that have happened in the Netflix show have become canon, or whether this is, as Loki would put it, a variant or like a different version.
I don't think they're going to mention it full stop. I think they're just going to, I think it's going to be one of those tongue-in-cheeks. You know who we are, and you know what I mean? We are those characters, but we're not going to talk about it. I think that's how they're going to leave it, because Netflix, and were they ever meant to be a part of the MCU? Was that ever meant to be a part?
There was nods, weren't there? There were nods, because I remember I think it was Daredevil, they talked about the New York incident and stuff like that. There were nods.
I'm just assuming that they're going to play the roles as they were on Netflix, but just without nodding to anything that happened prior. You know that he's the Kingpin, and that's all you need to know. You know about the Kingpin, you know who he is, let's move on, type thing. Yeah, like what they did with Spider-Man when he first came into the MCU. They didn't do the whole Uncle Ben thing. They just went, the audience is mature enough. You know who this character is. Let's get on with it. You know what I mean? I think they're going to do that with these characters too.
I think that when it comes to the superhero genre, as they call it, is the superhero genre. It's not new anymore. It's well and truly seasoned. That first Spider-Man film, like, it wasn't the first superhero film, but obviously it was one of the biggest ones. You had like the original X-Men, you obviously had Blade, you had the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, but that's like over 20 years ago. So there are people that have kind of grown up watching this genre. So I don't think that they need to spend that time actually going back and talking about things. They don't need to give us an origin story every time they show us a new character. So I think Sorrell's right. I think that they will kind of, this is who he is. You know what you know, and just kind of take it from there.
Plus, also, they're bringing these guys back to play those characters because they know how well loved those actors are as those characters. So they're not going to change them really, how they portray, how they act, because obviously the reason they're in it and it's those actors is because they did it so well. So they're not going to change it. It's not going to be Vincent D'Onofrio's going to come in and be like, "Oh, I'm the Kingpin in a different accent now."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They've done all that character development over the Daredevil series. So I think they'll just keep that sort of, I think they'll keep those just as it is, and like you guys said, just, we know, we know, I know that you know that I know that you know that I think I know, and then they'll just do
exactly. I think what's really interesting as well is it really opens up the possibilities, because obviously we've had all of these different different properties, haven't we, where like obviously talk about MCU and Netflix, they were two very different properties, but obviously having this crossover now opens up so much possibility that any of those characters that we've seen in those other properties could essentially now show up in the MCU or in various other films, and people would accept them and know who they are. I think it really opens the floodgates. Just that very simple cameo from D'Onofrio could really open up that floodgate of possibility. And obviously the next episode is going to be very much about him, isn't it?
Just don't bring back Affleck.
Oh,
And if a Garner shows up, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain...
I did really like that Ben Affleck Daredevil film when I was younger. I did.
I say,
won't
growing
lie.
up, it had evidence of the soundtrack. I was about 14 when it came out. I loved it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, the bit at the end with the smoking the match and the flaming Daredevil on the floor. It's to quote Anthony Hopkins, some say it's hokey, but life's hokey.
And we had
There are
Kevin
certain
Smith
things
as well
though.
in the morgue. It was quite a good film.
But there are certain things that really age well, and there are certain things that don't. So let's take like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, the original like Spider-Man film with Tobey Maguire.
Was on TV the other day. Saw a bit of it.
I literally sat down and I sat with because obviously it's no spoiler. We all know Green Goblin shows up in No Way Home. So I said to my son, "Come on, mate, you've seen the trailers." Yeah. I said to my boy, I said, "Look, we know that Goblin, Electro, and Doc Ock are in the trailers with the kind of hint towards Sandman and Lizard as well." And I was like, "So for you to really go in and enjoy this film, and you need to definitely be up on those films."
Yeah.
And he sat down and watched that first Spider-Man, and it ended. And like I said, I think I said to you, Sorrel, on the other call, that he was just blown away. This is a film that's 20 years old next year, like 20 years old next week. Whereas something like Daredevil, if you sat down and watched it now, compared to the things that we've had on telly recently, it's not aged well. And I think that's the difference.
Swamp Thing.
Mate, I actually like Green Lantern. I'm not even afraid to say that.
The
Green Lantern film,
the extended edition.
I actually came out of the cinema and I was like, you know what? That's cool. You're giving me a superhero film.
Maintain though, you will not cast Sinestro any better than Mark Strong was in that film.
Oh, I know.
He was absolutely bang on awesome. And if anything, that was the bit I was most excited about. We had that end bit of the thing where he puts the yellow ring on. I'm like, and they're like, Green Lantern 9.
But the thing is that like with any film, while we're on the Green Lantern kick, if there was any film that was going to be so heavily CGI, the Green Lantern like corpse film was that. You know what I mean? When you think about the powers, where they are, what they do, like it was going to be 95% CGI. So I was kind of like, that's cool. Like,
early appearance from Taika Waititi as well as playing Ryan Reynolds' best friend Tom, I think isn't it?
Yeah. So there we go. So so back to Hawkeye before we get on the Green Lantern kick.
I was gonna say, did you guys see the preview for next week's episode on YouTube?
No, I haven't. I've avoided it. You can talk about it. No, you can talk about it. I don't mind talking about it.
It doesn't show D'Onofrio in his full, but it shows like him walking through something. It looks like a church, and he's got his purple pinstripe black trousers, black shoes, the white jacket, which is quite long, and a cane with a big white like diamond or something on the end of it. It's proper comic book accurate. You couldn't see the rest of the outfit, but I can imagine when they panned it round, it would be the yellow cravat, and it looked like it was going to be proper Marvel style.
Yeah, but even just from that, even that screenshot on the phone or the tablet, whatever,
he was wearing the white, and
he looked like a comic book accurate. But then I think that the Daredevil show did a lot for that. I know when we were speaking to, it was Rectangular, wasn't it, when he was on, and he said about him being unclean, but he became Daredevil to me, like, and the show was so well written that I was kind of like, you know what, I can accept this and I'm on board with it. So I'm really excited to see where this ends. And obviously, as you say, there's so many loose ends. I don't think they're going to tie up in a 40-minute episode.
I'm obviously, we all want to see Clint Barton return home for Christmas, but there's one episode to go. Have we seen the runtime of it? I feel like, is it an extended episode or something? Because one episode, 35 minutes. We've got a lot to cover in one episode.
I reckon it'll be slightly longer. I reckon maybe 45. I don't think it'll be.
But even still, there's, even if it was just the Yelena story, that's not a huge amount of time to cover it.
There's going to be a season 2 in there. There's got to be a
season 2 or some kind of tie-in with something else. Obviously, there's loads of rumors going around the internet that Spider-Man's going to show up. I'm not even joking. There are so many rumors.
So it's a Hawkeye movie.
Ryan, luckily you went all funny there, so we didn't catch any of that. But only because of what I mentioned a couple of weeks back about that Rogers the Musical. And obviously everything is taking place in and around the same time at the same place. So if there's something big like Kingpin and whatnot, for Spider-Man not to be on screen at some. But how cool would that be if Spider-Man did show up, even just for a cameo, and you saw Spider-Man and Kingpin on screen together? Happy days. Basically, I've not had enough Spider-Man, and I want him some more like this.
For me, if Charlie Cox shows up in the next episode, I'll die a happy man. We've got D'Onofrio. Give me Charlie Cox, and I'll be one happy little guy.
I feel like Charlie Spider-Man win would be a too much of a screen. I think that'd be too much of a taking the focus away from it being a Hawkeye series if they chuck.
Yeah, I agree.
But what if it was a case of like, Kingpin's managed to pin something on one of these characters? They're gonna go down. They need a lawyer. Who's Kingpin's number one enemy?
Yeah, I could see that happening maybe.
Yeah, I think if we do see Charlie Cox, I don't think we're going to see him suited up. I think that if
no, not suited
does...
up. I just see him as a lawyer, like the lawyer character of Matt Murdock, turning up, like to defend whoever it is against Kingpin.
Yeah.
That would be an awesome like end of season sort of cliffhanger.
That would be very cool. That would be very cool. But it was an awesome episode either way. As you say, I can't remember much past the kitchen scene, to be fair. And I just thought that was so brilliantly done. The sort of casual, the girls' night, as she called it. Like I just thought it was brilliant. And I really, really looking forward. There was a little nod towards the costumes being there, wasn't there? You went to that LARPer's apartment and we've got your costumes, but that's it, grills. But they didn't even have a look. Like I can't. And we know what they look like because obviously we've seen the renders from Marvel Legends. Yeah. But I just want to see them suited up, and that's going to make my. But there is one thing that we know. I'm still blown away by the fact
that Ash said about like it's just a conversation, and we watched it between. I really can't. You're totally right, but I never made the connection that we basically just watched the conversation for 25 minutes. That's really blown my mind a little.
That was the main.
It's a bit like Castaway when you realise Castaway, the film with Tom Hanks, is just a monologue for like an hour and a half.
Pretty much.
They talked basically about macaroni for a good 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was very hungry for macaroni after that. There is one scene though that and obviously Marvel are famous or infamous for giving us trailer clips that we don't actually see in the film. But there's that one in the Hawkeye trailer where they're kind of stood on the ice rink and kind of back to back and firing loads of arrows and that. And we haven't seen that yet in the show. So whether that's kind of, the big final showdown or something like that, but we've definitely seen that in the trailer and we've not yet seen it in the show. So hopefully there's going to be some kind of big fight at the end.
Thing is,
Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze comes through in a multiverse portal.
I think by the end of the program, I think we're going to get Echo and Hawkeye sort of seeing eye to eye and becoming friends to take on the Kingpin. And then obviously Yelena and Kate Bishop becoming sort of allies as well. It's got to mirror, and then the four of them are going to take out Kingpin at some point.
But it'd just be the four of them against the tracksuit mafia.
Yeah.
There's not really anyone else introduced, is there? They're not all going to fight Kingpin, but maybe they will.
Kingpin controls the whole underworld. It depends who he's got at his disposal. You might see the Hand show up for all we know.
Can you imagine? Just loads of different gangs. It'd be like Endgame, but for underground gangs. Is that everyone?
The fight scene from Anchorman.
Yeah, basically. So let's move on.
Just before we move on, Joe, this week, right, I've got to say, because it was in like the other week's show, Ryan ruined Elf for me this week. I was sat watching Elf with my daughter, sat on the sofa all comfy, and that stupid frigging whale goes, "Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad." And I burst out into the biggest laughter ever. And Lynn went, my wife's like, "It's not that funny." I'm like, no. My friend Ryan did that exact voice in a podcast, and it sounded just like it.
"Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad."
It's when you did that in the episode, it just came straight back to me. I'm watching it.
Amazing. So staying on the theme of obviously trailers and TV shows and stuff, the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness trailer launched on Marvel.com. Did you say?
So it's been posted. It got spoiled all over the internet after Spider-Man came out about Thursday night. After the reveals, to be fair, after the reveals came out, a load of stuff just leaked, and then it ended up coming out on Marvel.com, I believe it was. And ever since then, it's just been on YouTube and been multiplying. So it was actually a little bit of a shortened version to what we saw in the cinemas, to be fair, but it was still the Multiverse of Madness it's out now.
Cool. It looks cool. I mean, without going into
I'm
too much
literally watching it right
detail. Ryan is watching it right now, but it does look like a good film. I mean, it doesn't look like I expected it to look. Like I think I don't know. In my head, I built it up that it was going to be this like almost like that final scene of WandaVision where there's just like lots of clouds and magic and people fighting in the air and stuff. That's what I kind of expected it to be.
Again, it's hard to talk about it because we've obviously seen Spider-Man, and there's so much at the end of Spider-Man that could tie into this.
But
a bit like because actually I can't even say that.
Good.
Oh my god, it's so bad. This is like torture.
Yeah.
But like, do you remember at the end of Loki when we saw the sky rip apart and there was the purple people in the sky?
Yeah.
That's what I imagined was going to be the big thing in Doctor Strange, like that coming again and more people coming through. And
well, we see that in the No Way Home trailer, don't we? Obviously, when he's on the Statue of Liberty, and
but I didn't want to
see all
talk
the
about
but that's in but that is in the trailer that we see Doctor Strange and the sky, and it's very reminiscent of that Loki scene, like you say. So yeah, I was on the same train. I was kind of like, you know what, we saw it in Loki. It's obviously going to be in Spider-Man because it's in the trailer. So maybe that's what the multiverse of madness is going to be. But
it doesn't seem that way.
No, I think that this trailer is definitely the first trailer of a couple. And I think this is the slow paced kind of, this is where you are with things kind of trailer.
I'm wondering whether where Doctor Strange has messed up and whatever he's done in Spider-Man, he's now dealing with the repercussions on his own. He's now dealing with the repercussions of, like we yeah, he's dealing with the repercussions of it. I was gonna say something else then, but no, he's dealing with the repercussions of it, of what happened at the end.
So
with Spider-Man.
Watching you two try not to spoil
this is so hard, mate. This is so.
I'm really enjoying this. I won't lie.
It's killing me. But yeah, I imagine he's going to be dealing with the repercussions of what happened, and now his own people are coming through. Does that make sense? Because obviously we know from the trailer that obviously the baddies from Spider-Man the Universe came through to Tom Holland. I'm wondering whether Doctor Strange is going to have the same sort of thing, whether something went wrong in his spell and his people, like we see a darker version of Doctor Strange in that program, in that trailer. Is his villains or his people coming through now as well? Have they managed to sneak through into our universe? And is that why he wants Wanda? Because she can control reality to get rid of them?
Yeah, quite possibly. The one thing I will point out for the trailer, though, is so obviously that's right. One thing I thought you did well.
Yeah, very well done.
I was hovering over the button, ready to just eject you. But no, there was one thing that happened in the trailer that was a first for the MCU, and that was an MCU film referencing the Disney Plus shows, because he obviously talks about Westview. Yes. And she's talking about how, are you here to talk about what I did or whatever? And that's the first time the MCU films have made real reference of what's taking place in the shows. It's gone the other way round, but it's not been in a film to the show. So there is going to be a huge Wanda element to that. We knew that from the start. But it was the internet that told us that Wanda was going to be the bad guy, and maybe she's not. Maybe she's not. So who knows? But before we kind of get into territory of kind of spoiling anything, because we don't want to, and there's loads to talk about, let's talk about the figure reveals. Because obviously Marvel Legends had oops, my camera dropped there. Marvel Legends had their Fan First Thursday. And it's the first one they've done in a long time. They haven't done one since the Hasbro Pulse panel. The panel was the last one that they did. So kicking it off, I've actually got notes. That's what I dropped because there was so much to digest. It just seemed like thing after thing after thing. So the first one, obviously, is the Doctor Strange reveals. So there's the multiverse of madness waves and deluxe figures and store exclusives, etc., which did surprise me because they came out on Hasbro Pulse before the live stream, which was a bizarre move. I was expecting that to be weird, kind of
but they had so much to launch anyway on that live stream. It didn't really hinder it, did it?
No, not at all. So
and the Americans are so mad right now because we got exclusive access to obviously two of the exclusives, the Thor and the Defender Strange. Yeah. They're not even out for a pre-order in America yet. They're so mad.
Oh, are they not? Oh, ouch.
No, because so they're going to be Target and Walmart exclusives, I believe.
I'm so glad we don't have that.
Yeah.
So so the Doctor Strange wave obviously includes the new Strange, the new good-looking Strange, which a lot of people are pissed about because obviously we've just had the the good-looking Strange. We've just had the No Way Home version.
Sorry,
that obviously
that's so funny.
Why is it the good-looking Strange? I need to ask this. Why is it the good-looking Strange?
Because it's like they said on the live stream, didn't they, that it's the best head sculpt they think they've done, and it's like the new outfit, and Benedict Cumberbatch is a good-looking guy.
That's okay.
No, but they were saying that it's the best version that they've done so far. But a lot of people were complaining because obviously the No Way Home wave came with the Doctor Strange that we've seen in the trailers, and obviously in the film. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, finally we've got a decent Strange, an MCU Strange." And then literally a week after the film comes out, they drop this new good-looking Strange. But
just
yeah,
in my head, but it's like a Loki variant. There's like alligator Loki, lady Loki. There's Doctor Strange, evil Doctor Strange, good-looking Doctor Strange. He's like his own separate thing.
Colin Stevens.
Good-looking Doctor Strange here, the rescue.
He's Steven.
Oh.
Oh, Ryan, you went all red.
Ryan's just delayed.
So obviously we got that Strange. We also got an Astral Strange, which we've not had since the original Doctor Strange wave. And the original Doctor Strange, the Astral one, was basically just that pearlescent version.
But why does this Doctor Strange come with Aladdin's lamp?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's
a whole new world.
It's something to do with film. But they did say on the live stream that obviously they've been able to do things with this one that they weren't able to do the first time. So the first time we literally just got the same mold as the figure that we had in the wave, but just made out of a pearlescent plastic. Whereas this one, obviously very similar to Egon, is kind of part painted and part translucent, and it looks quite cool. I'm not going to complain about it. We got Wong finally.
I was going to say about the actual Doctor Strange. Have you already considered doing what I'm considering doing?
What's that?
Removing that face skull, putting the other translucent head on it, and putting the translucent hands on it. Because I don't like the white hands. They make no sense to be solid white. So put the translucent hands on from the previous model, the translucent head from the previous model with that new body. That would look.
That's not a bad shout. That is not a bad shout at all.
Bigger recipes. Tune in next week.
Yeah. We finally got a Wong. Obviously, Wong is a character that people have been chasing after since as long as I can remember. But he's shown up in so many Marvel films now. Obviously, Shang-Chi, obviously both the Infinity War and Endgame, obviously Doctor Strange.
IT crowd.
He's in obviously Spiderman No Way Home because you see him in the trailer. It's not a spoiler. So we finally got a Wong figure, which is cool. And I've got to say that the head sculpt on that is possibly one of the best head sculpts I think they've done in recent years.
Looks
would you say that he could be Dapper Chap Wong? So if we've already got good-looking Doctor Strange,
no,
Dapper
because
Chap
we haven't had a Wong yet. So this is just your Wong. This is standard Wong. Interestingly enough, I'm going to move
standard
on.
Wong.
Stop it.
Ryan, I'm gonna eject you.
We're in dodgy territory where one of us are gonna say something stupid in a minute.
So, on the subject of, I'm just gonna mouthful. I'm not even gonna talk for a minute. Just let you get it out of your system, right? Go on. Oh, he's frozen. Look, he's frozen. Oh no, he's back. He's back. Right. So we also got
it's a weird series of figures.
We also got Mordov, didn't we? Which is obviously a character from the first film that we saw in the post-credit scene where he kind of went off and kind of turned a bit evil. But interestingly, this figure is labeled Master Mordov. And he's obviously got the long dreads now. Got a bit of a weird face sculpt. I'm not going to lie. The eyes look a little bit far apart. He reminds me of the character in Total Recall. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger when he goes out of the spaceship and his eyes bulge up. That's why I think it. Yeah, it is. I think we've lost Ryan. I think he's frozen up. Ryan,
are you awake?
Either that, or he just does not care about Doctor Strange.
I'm still here. I'm being sensitive. Oh no, what's going on with this?
There you go. Now you're back. You're back.
It was I basically just couldn't handle the variants of different Doctor Strange related characters.
That was the best poker face that I do not care about these figures at all. So anyway, Master Mordov. So obviously, I'd be interested to see what he does in the film. But it could just be one of those red herrings that's just kind of, here's a figure of somebody that shows up for 2 minutes of the film. We obviously got America Chavez, which obviously is a beloved comic book character, but is now coming into the MCU in Doctor Strange. And we kind of knew that was happening, but the figure has obviously confirmed it.
Well, we knew from the new trailer as well, because we saw her.
She was in that.
The back of the denim jacket that you saw with the star. I assumed wrongly that was going to be Captain Carter, but it wasn't until I thought, no, hang on a minute. It's the denim jacket, and that's when I thought it's America Chavez. It's Miss America, isn't it? They call her in the comics.
Yeah.
And yes, doesn't she go around with like Camilla Khan and Patriot, and isn't she a part of like the new Avengers kind of thing?
She dips in and out, I believe. So obviously that was all for the MCU figures, apart from the BAF. We'll go on to the Build a Figure in a minute. We also got Despair, which we obviously saw teased a while back. That was the fan vote that they kind of did live.
Yeah. I know nothing about this character, but it looks amazing.
So Despair, to give you an idea, he's popped up in a cross. He's a demon, basically. There's long and short of it. Crosses over with Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, a handful of other characters, but yeah, basically just makes people feel really crap and just has a really cool look. So yeah, I'm quite chuffed about that. The only thing that does disappoint me is that they put butterfly joints on him, but they weren't able to put butterfly joints on like the comic Black Panther and stuff like that. So that, come on, guys. And then the last one, obviously, is Sleepwalker, which people kind of went a bit nuts for, which is really cool. And I'm going to guess you probably don't know much about Sleepwalker.
Nope.
Yeah,
comics, no idea.
No. Sleepwalker's a 90s comic.
Really?
Sleepwalker had his own run of comics for about 3 years in the 90s.
All right.
Yeah, it's one of them kind of characters that basically, if you didn't know him, you didn't know him. Do you know what I mean? They didn't become like a big Spider-Man, and it not become quite cult. That's the wrong way to put it, but it's just one of them characters that obviously in the 90s, if they weren't, if they're in the comic books, but if they weren't on television or in a film, they stayed in the comic books. Whereas nowadays we're quite spoiled, aren't we, with all the other forms of media? And I think that maybe they just came along at the wrong time. So I wasn't a big fan, but they Sleepwalker had, I think it was about 3 years. Something like 30 odd issues or something like that. But I won't spoil too much about him because he's definitely a cool character. So go and check him out. But yeah, it looks perfect. And I think that's the one. But that's what I'm saying is that unless I think I had a couple of the comic books, and the only reason I had them was that when I've said before, I picked up random issues of like boot sales and stuff, and just remember kind of going, "Oh, this character's not Spider-Man, but hey, let's see. He's not one of the X-Men." So yeah, and then obviously the Builder figure was Rintra. Okay. See, the worst thing about the MCU for me is that I've read these comic book characters in my comics my own way for a long time, and now they're kind of becoming like on screen. I'm like, oh, that's not how I pronounce that name. But basically he's just a big green alien minotaur. Not much to it. He becomes a sorcerer. In the comic books he's naked. In the MCU he's wearing a little gown, which is quite cool. But I think he'll be a cool character to have on screen. And my initial thoughts is I was like, oh, how cool is that to finally kind of get like a great big green monster like in the MCU? And I was like, hang on, we've had the Hulk for years. Like, what am I chatting about? It totally went over my head. But I think what's nice is that it's going to add that level of in the Doctor Strange comics, obviously it was very varied. It's kind of like, like with the Guardians of the Galaxy, all the different species and that kind of stuff. And don't think they've really tapped into that in Doctor Strange yet. So it's nice to kind of have this complete other race that's obviously going to be involved in the sorcery and stuff as well, which is cool. And it looks like a cool bath. And I think that the hooved feet obviously open up for a lot of other possibilities when it comes to characters. So that was that one. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna get the wave. Quite happy to say that I'm gonna get that wave. No, you're skipping.
I'm probably gonna get Astral, Doctor Strange, America Chavez, and I might get then Despair and the other one, Sleepwalker.
Yeah.
Probably grab those, but I'm not too bothered for another Doctor Strange. I've got 5 now. I don't need another one.
Yeah. See, I've been lucky to have I've had all the Doctor Strange figures. I've never had to chase after an MCU Doctor Strange. So I've always had at least one in my collection. And I know that it's a character that people have really chased after. So I'm pleased that they're throwing more out. The nice thing about this one is that the costume is obviously different. So the eye is up here now, isn't it? It's like a button holder kind of thing as opposed to around the neck. And so it does look different, but
and like I'm only going to grab the America Chavez just because they've never made her in Legends form, so at least I can use that with my comic book characters. But I'm not too fussed for. I know people have been dying for a Wong for years, but I'm really not fussed for a Wong. I don't need him.
It's
but then again, I'm not an MCU collector. It's easy for me to say that I'm not an MCU collector.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Got it easy as of all.
I don't collect Marvel. So the other ones that were released, obviously that wasn't it. They released that as a wave, but they also put up Ragnarok. So Ragnarok's obviously like the cyborg version of Thor, basically Thor Terminator. Let's just put it that way.
People weren't happy about that though, were they?
No, I was a bit pissed. I'm not going to lie.
Because to be fair, that is literally the same one I've got on my shelf right now with a new face.
Exactly the same one. Do you know what really annoyed me? And I know we always say it as a disclaimer, I love Hasbro, I fully support, and all the rest of it. But what really pissed me off is that the way they went, and we're going to throw in the other head sculpt as well. So if you didn't get to pick up the other one, you've then got the option of Thor. And I was like, man, come on. That's one of my favorite figures because of its rarity. Like when it comes to my comic book collection, I'm really pleased that I did manage to get that. And now
I've got all my 80th anniversary figures. I've got them all. And I love how because I've got the classic Avengers look now, and
But Ragnarok is a pretty cool character. It's very kind of 90s. What makes something cooler in the 90s? Turn it into a robot. Let's be honest. And so, let's make Thor a robot. So it'd be cool for some action figure photography. I'll probably pick it up and then see what it looks like, and then take a few pictures and maybe move it on. We also saw Multiverse of Madness Defender Strange as well. Now, this one kind of split people's opinions because obviously it's a costume that we know nothing about. It looks very reminiscent of the red and black comic book costume that we've seen Doctor Strange in. The whole Defender Strange, is that a clue to the plot? Is there something going on there? But the thing that a lot of people were pleased about is it actually comes with a portal. So we're actually finally going to get a portal playset kind of thing. And that kind of falls into so many different brands, doesn't it? Like all the Avengers stuff and Spider-Man.
I think it will sell loads because I think people will buy multiples just for the portal. So I think it'd be easy to get the figure on the secondary market for very little, if anything, next to nothing. But I think portals would become like a rare commodity.
I think that because it's a solid piece of plastic as well, I think once that's in people's hands, you're going to see a lot of people replicating it and making
3D.
copies.
Yeah.
Whether it's 3Ds, whether it's casts, I don't know. But I think that you're going to see secondhand, like secondary market versions of it. I hope Ryan's not going to the toilet because he's still got his sound on.
Oh my God.
One thing that that I wondered about, because it's called Defender Strange, I'm wondering whether the Doctor Strange that we know from our from our universe, 616, whatever you want to call it, MCU verse, is going to be the one that we've got, the standard one, the blue and red usual Doctor Strange. Is Defender Strange because he's got the portal? Is that like a Strange that's come through in the multiverse? Maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Could this be the one from the MC? Could this be the one from the What If? Like the regular Doctor Strange from the What If that saved the universe. Could this be him coming to the MCU universe to tell our Doctor Strange about this evil Doctor Strange, and it's a version of himself because of his power?
Quite possibly. Another thing that was thrown around though is that supposedly we're going to see the Illuminati in Doctor Strange. Now I don't know how the logistics of that, because obviously it includes characters like Professor Xavier, Reed Richards that we haven't seen yet and haven't been introduced, but we do know are coming. And I think that for the sake of a cameo, it's too early on.
Yeah, it is.
To have somebody
They've not even been casted yet.
No. So it could be that this is the Illuminati version of Doctor Strange, and he comes through kind of on his own and talks about the Illuminati. But who knows? Who knows? And obviously Black Panther as well was in the Illuminati at one point. So, how they would kind of tackle that, I don't know. So it might be that, I think that's where my head went anyway, that, maybe this is the Illuminati version. He's going to come through and talk about his mates that are on the other side of the portal, but not actually see them. So that was that version. Obviously, we saw tease for Ulik, which is obviously a Thor character that we've not seen since San Diego Comic-Con version.
Was that the big box set, wasn't it? That had a bunch of other characters. It was like a big open box set, wasn't it?
Yeah. Had Jane Foster 4. It had Odinson, I think.
It's taken them a long time for this one to come back round then.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It's one of them ones that I think that they kind of knew would always sell, because it was such a sought after box set. So whenever they dropped it, people were going to be pleased that had finally come in. But yeah, he's obviously tied in with Thor. We obviously saw Jigsaw as well, which is a very cool looking character. I'm a little bit bored of the suited characters. Like, I kind of would have liked to have seen a different version of him, maybe.
Same suit, isn't it? Same body we've had time and time again now.
But when you think of Jigsaw, he is a guy in a suit, so the main Ryan's in his room. The main part
in the room, is a different part of it.
The main part is obviously his face, isn't it? It's the face, the head sculpt. So and he comes with a bunch of accessories, which is quite cool. And then last but not least, on the kind of exclusives and one-offs, is we got a look at the 20th anniversary Hulk to go alongside the Captain America and the Iron Man that we've already seen. And I'm not going to lie, this is the first one that I'm kind of like, nah, I'm really not fussed.
I've got really my 80th anniversary Hulk, and I still think that looks better, personally.
The Toy Biz one?
No, the 80th anniversary one.
Yeah.
The one that came with a little white jacket torn thing on his shoulders and stuff.
With Wolverine.
Yes.
Yeah, he's my go-to.
He's my go-to.
I had him, and I picked up the the convention exclusive one as well that came in the white shipper and stuff. Yes, and I moved that one on because I was kind of like, you know what, I don't need two like standard green Hulks. Like, the 80th anniversary one ticks all the boxes for me. And this one, I think that, the price point is $50 or £40 or £42. It's really expensive for what it is. And when you think that essentially it's because of the packaging, because it's hitting that nostalgic element, it's just not enough for me.
And one thing that I was like thinking about, it's very dark green by comparison to the other figures. From what we've seen on the photo, it seems very dark green rather than the traditional sort of lighter green for Hulk. That seems very dark.
And I think it falls into a really bizarre category, because obviously, is it reminiscent of the Toy Biz version? Obviously came out 20 years ago, the first line of Marvel Legends. Like, in the box, it looks like an updated version. However, the comic book that's included, or the comic book panel that's included, shows the Hulk with the different haircut, with the trunks, a very different color green. And I think if they had gone for the comic book accurate one in the Toy Biz packaging, they would have sold a lot more, or they would have been a lot more. Don't get me wrong, it's going to sell anyway. It's going to be a popular one. But for me, I was quite happy to pass over.
Do you know what I've been saying for years? If they released I know it sounds ridiculous, but a Lou Ferrigno Hulk. If they gave us a Lou Ferrigno Hulk, I think that would sell ridiculously.
Yeah, I
with the hitchhiking Bruce Banner, that whenever you put him on the bass, it does the slow piano music.
Yeah. I agree. So moving on to the last of the Marvel Legends, we obviously got a full X-Men wave as well, which was revealed, and this was a random one. This was really random. This was like a psychedelic 3 o'clock in the morning nightclub kind of kick out wave. Like, it was a really random selection. So I don't know if you've seen these ones, Ryan. But if you haven't, I'll send you some pictures. But I think he's frozen up again. I know he's there. He's there.
I was just getting over my reaction was seeing.
You're really cutting up on mine. Is it yours?
Yeah,
It's all right. It's all right, Ryan. It's all right.
I know. That hamster I've got piling up my dial-up modem is just not working as well as it used to.
So let me tell you about the X-Men wave very quickly then before we move on to something else. So X-Men, we had another Sabretooth. Of course, we had another Sabretooth. This time he's on a much slimmer body though.
So weird.
Which is really odd. Yeah, really odd. So they've made him smaller. So everyone went, oh yeah, the Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth is huge. This is the Sabretooth we want. And then they went, we're going to give you another Sabretooth and we're going to make him smaller.
Sabretooth light.
But he does mirror what he did look like in the very early comics in the respect of the smaller kind of body and stuff. But I just don't think he's one that a lot of people.
This whole wave felt like, who asked for this? Who this wave?
It's a really random wave. The Wolverine.
The characters don't normally in a wave, they correlate to something, some form of theme. I couldn't work out what this was. Didn't fit any scheme or rhyme, did it?
No, this to me is because they've done so much X-Men. This to me was all the X-Men characters we've wanted to. Yeah, all the characters we've wanted to do that we've not been able to kind of put somewhere else. So the Wolverine was the kind of the yellow and black costume with it's a great costume. Don't get me wrong, it's a really cool looking costume. But then he comes with like the heated up claws where they're like they've been put in hot liquid or something, and they're kind of that yellowy red, which looks cool, and it looks cool. And I'm kind of pleased that we've got a Wolverine that does look different to the other Wolverines that we've had. But
was this not based on the Return of Wolverine when he came back with fire claws? Was this not that version of Wolverine?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. It's just like when he came back, he suddenly had claws that could burst into flames, which was weird.
Yeah, it was because it was the 90s.
Just gonna say, Fireclaw is a great name for a band.
Yeah. So as well as that, we also, I think the big one for me was Vulcan, because the Vulcan body is what they're calling the new Bucky cap. That's going to be the new kind of standard body mold for male figures going forward. And obviously Vulcan is one of the Summers brother of Scott and
Alex.
Scott and Alex,
Alex
Havoc and Cyber. I went blank for a second there. I was going to say Scott and Havoc. No, his parents did not call him Havoc. But obviously Vulcan is one of the Summers brothers. What else we got? Darwin. Do you know? You ever seen Darwin before?
Yeah, he was in X-Men First Class.
There you go. Yeah, he was. He was in First Class. But
waste of a character, but yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool one. Basically, he can adapt to any situation he's in. He can kind of adapt to the stuff that's going on around him. And in the comic books, he kind of, as he mutated, he kind of turned into like an alien like looking thing with a big head and the long arms and stuff like that. And his parents, obviously, like all of these mutant parents did, kind of went, oh, we don't want anything to do with you, and shoved him aside. And but he's got a really cool power, and he's I mean, if nothing else, buy a couple of them and repaint them, and then you've got like X-Files aliens, you know. It's like... who else do we get? Siren, obviously, Banshee's daughter, or later in the comic book she went by Banshee as well. But that's one that a lot of people have asked for a long time. But we've got her before we've got a re-release of Banshee, which was odd. But I think I think that they're testing the waters, because what they've done with her is they've given her a cloth cape, similar to the Storm. And I think if they're going to do Banshee, that's the only way they're going to be able to do him properly is if they give him the cloth cape. So I think they've kind of tested the waters a little bit with this one, as in, oh look, we're giving you a cloth cape. What do you think? And they're going to go, yeah, we love it. And then they're going to go, oh, here's a Banshee with a cloth cape. You said you liked it, so don't shout at us. But it's nice to have her, and she's very reminiscent of her colours and all the rest of it. We got Havoc, which I was really disappointed with to start with, because it was obviously pretty much the same figure we got back in the Juggernaut wave, I think it was, just with a new head sculpt. And then they whacked out those effect pieces, and everyone went, oh, what it? So, yeah.
I was one of those people.
I was as well. Yeah. I was kind of like, I want the new head sculpt, but I can easily pass. And then they showed that, and I was like, I want this now. This is all I want. But yeah, so they haven't really done anything with that. Maggot as well. Now, Maggot was one that was teased at Hasbro PulseCon when they showed us one of the little maggots. And for anyone that doesn't know anything about Maggot, he's basically a South African that can kind of digest anything using those maggots. He's very good at eating. it's he's a
very good at eating.
He's a very obscure character, but essentially, if I remember rightly, uses those maggot kind of slug things to kind of eat things and devour things and stuff. So he's a really obscure one, but looks really cool. Like the figure looks well cool. And then the builder figure was, of course, Reavers, wasn't it? Bone. What are they called? Bone Breaker. In a big tank and everything like that. And I just thought he looked awesome.
Who was Captain Tank Legs? I didn't know who that was.
Captain Tank Legs. Bone Breaker from the Reavers. So, and obviously we've had previous versions of them. We had Lady Deathstrike as well. So, I think that he's really cool, and everyone, but no one guessed that that's where the barrel was from. That was the barrel tease that they gave us all those weeks ago.
Well, we thought it was Rhino.
Yeah, no one guessed, and people were saying, "Oh, it's going to go with Captain America and World War II and all this kind of stuff." But no, it's on Bone Breaker. And then to finish it off, obviously they gave us a tease and they just showed us the backpack. Now that to me looks very reminiscent of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. It just looks, and I think
does whatever Spider-Man can.
Well, for me, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man coming in next year will be the 20-year anniversary. They are going to jump on that. There is no two ways about it. They're going to jump on it. They've done the 20th anniversary for the X-Men. They've done the 20th anniversary for the Toy Biz things. They've done the 80th anniversary. So there's no way, and especially with Spider-Man being such a trending topic at the moment, there is no way that Hasbro are going to pass that by, and we are going to get some reminiscent Spider-Man figures one way or another, especially with some of the villains obviously being in the new film as well. So I personally think that backpack is going to be to do with a Spider-Man figure. It's just my thoughts.
Nice.
Oh, I've just had an email pop through, and it is my Star Wars Vintage Collection 375 Boba Fett, R2D2, and C3PO with coins, droids, editions, card back jobbers. Oh yes, my boys.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's
sounds like trouble again. That's the theme song to droids, by the way.
That is a brilliant lead into obviously all the Star Wars news. But before we go into it, any thoughts or feelings on any of those X-Men figures or
the
backpack?
It was such a weird wave. The only one I'm really excited about is Havoc, to be honest. That's it. Gotta be honest. Havoc's the one that I'm like, I'll probably buy an updated Havoc for the effects pieces more than anything, but it's an updated Havoc, so I'll probably grab it for my classic X-Men wave. But the rest of them weren't. I go for like the classic look of the X-Men. I'm not really bothered for the newer versions, like the Banshee's daughter and all that. Nah, she's Vulcan. Nah.
Yeah.
I like Captain Tank Legs, so that's the one I want.
And you're gonna have to buy all of them to get him because he's the builder figure.
No, I changed my mind.
I was really pleased just because it is so random. Like behind me, I've tried to match everyone up as best as I can, so I tried to keep them all together. And that one is such a random one that I'll be able to fill holes, if that makes sense. So certain ones will go in certain places, but it was random. It was a proper random one, but it also says to me that they're getting to that stage now with X-Men figures that we're going to the obscure. So we're either going to start seeing re-releases of stuff or alternate costumes or the obscure. So I think it's kind of the sign of the end of maybe the wave of lots of X-Men. But they still managed to put a Wolverine in there. So not everything's changed. Not everything's changed. So there we go. So that's all of it. And I've talked a lot because I tried to get my head around all the Marvel stuff that was announced. So let's move on to Star Wars, and I'll let one of you gents talk a bit more than I did this time. But Star Wars.
So really a Star Wars.
Yeah, so I got the email from Hasbro, sort of saying we've got something coming out on Friday. Be ready for it. Vintage collection, it's coming. And I got very excited. And then they released the Shore Troopers 4-pack. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but yeah, we've got the 4-pack coming. It's got all the different, all the different, I think you got like a commander in there, a lieutenant, all the different rankings basically of the Shore Troopers are represented there. It's good for army builders, let's put it that way. It's a good army builder set.
I would say I love that idea, and I'm a big sport. I've been saying about it since I joined the show. The about the troop builder packs and putting them in plain cardboard boxes and stuff like that.
Mm.
My only gripe is the availability. Because once they sell out so quickly and then sold out, and it kind of defeats the point of making an army builder available to everyone. Is that you've got to be able to make sure you do enough of them that you don't have to pre-order it to be able to. You should be able to just get a army builder. Like you shouldn't have to, like, if you're doing this whole point of this being army builder, it shouldn't be like making it so limited that within about a week of it being announced that all the pre-orders are sold out everywhere for army builders.
What's the price tag on it?
Let me double check. I'll say dollars. Not sure about pounds.
It's got to be around. It's got to be the 100, hasn't it?
No,
I don't think it is. You know, it's vintage collection, isn't it? So they're not that expensive.
Oh, the little ones. Oh, okay, yeah.
Don't say the little ones. Don't say
the little ones. the little ones. Okay, fair enough.
Oh God,
the little figures.
These 6 and 8 inch people, honestly.
No, okay. No, the 3 and 3/4 inch vintage collection.
To be fair, I've been saying over the recent years, I am literally doubling down on my vintage collection. I've got a box behind me with about 10 vintage collection figures in it, and I only have 2 black. And like you heard me say, my 3.75 inch figures, my 3.75 inch are coming this week, not the 6 inch one. I didn't order the 6 inch one. I've gone for 3.75 inch. So I'm slowly doubling down on the 3.75 inch Star Wars line rather than Black Series, just because they're doing more with the vintage collection than they are with Black Series. Black Series seems to be repack after repack after repack. Vintage collection, at least they're doing something different with it.
And they seem to be getting the better molds as well. Like they seem to be getting the better representation of the figure, the characters.
I can't remember where we got up to last time when we were talking about Star Wars, but did we talk about the Boba Fett and Eric and Shand 3.75 inch?
No, they hadn't been announced. I don't think
they hadn't been announced. So we had the Black Series, didn't we?
They kind of came out like earlier this week, didn't they? So we had the Bring Home the Bounty collection. I think that comes out like every Tuesday, and it gives you a preview of what's coming in the next week. And obviously we had Shand and Boba Fett announced in the 3.75 inch line, and they look good.
You got this Boba Fett, so we're finally getting a rocket fire in Boba Fett. What I love though, there is something a bit sassy about the way on the box art, like, oh, I'm Boba Fett. I've totally shot you, and like you're dead now. So like, stay on the sand, yeah.
Toad's maze.
Yeah. Hashtag Boba blessed.
Yeah, my jetpack can fire a rocket.
And again, people were more happy about the 3.75 inch than the 6 inch. Because when the 6 inch one were announced, people went mental because of the whole deluxe thing and what it came with. The 3.75 inch comes with everything that the 6 inch one does, and it comes with those the little helmets as well that have like been beaten up. You know, the little stormtrooper helmets.
And his backpack can fire a rocket.
Oh, and his backpack can fire a rocket.
And I'm not even a Star Wars collector anymore because I've got out of that. But I noticed that the Black Series version can't sit on a throne, but the 3.75 inch can.
Yes.
Like because of the skirt, where they've done the skirt as well. Just one of them's very screen accurate, one is not.
Yeah, and then we had the Fennec Shand as well, which again, I just love the look of that sculpt. It looks so good. She looks so good in that sculpt.
You have convinced me as well. I have put in a pre-order for her.
What, the 3.75 inch one?
No, the 6 Black Series.
I got really excited then. I thought,
mate,
if I'd done the ultimate conversion,
we have to convert you,
Jake not only back to Star Wars, but to 3.75 inch Star Wars.
Well, I saw him in the shop. I picked him up. I had a look, and I put him back.
Oh, I threw it on the ground. No, yeah, it's been a good week for it, and also the Bo-Katan Black Series helmet. You know, the replica helmets. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm a sucker for the helmet collection stuff. You know, definitely want that one. That looks awesome. So we already had the Death Watch Trooper, which was just the repaint of Boba. Lost Jake already with it. He doesn't care. He's gone. Yeah, he didn't care. Fine, whatever. But the the Boba, obviously, we had the Boba Fett helmet repaint of like we had obviously Boba Fett, re-armored Boba Fett, which is the one I believe you got. Which looks awesome, and I'm extremely jealous. I'm hiding it very well. Proto Fett, Boba Fett.
Oh, timing out.
Then we had the Death Watch repaint of that helmet. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're right.
So
you
got four repaints of that helmet, and so to see a new mold of a Mandalorian
Oh, it's gone again. I'm sorry, mate. You've turned into the man on the moon again. Jacob's gone, and I'm all alone. Houston, we have a problem. The podcast is broken.
Like Bo-Katan. It's just you on your own. I'm here.
Houston, we have a problem. The podcast is broken.
I'm here.
Anyone.
Ground control.
You disappeared, and Ryan stopped. Ryan just disappeared. I'm like, and the kumbaya blood. Like, what do you want me to do?
Guys, I leave for like 30 seconds and you break it.
Am I back? Am I back online?
Yeah, you're back online.
The thing is, I can't tell when I'm freezing a lot of the time. So
I tried to show you by doing the because you were like doing this like man on the moon.
Because the funny thing is, I don't know if you're just maybe so interested in what I'm saying or if that's a genuine reaction. Who knows? But yeah, so they got the Bo-Katan helmet coming out, which looks absolutely awesome because I'm a big sucker for their replicas. So.
No, cool. No, I literally just went to get and show you what I picked up. So I actually went and got the DK book of Star Wars just to go through. Have you got this one?
No.
It's
here,
really cool.
It's
no, mate, this is like really cool. Like it's all droids and ships and aliens and characters, like planets. It's like a DK book, so it's well worth picking up. I'll
get it at some point, but I do have the essential guide to droids, the new essential guide to droids, technology, weapons, atlas, wildlife. I've got the lot. That is awesome.
Have you got this one?
I don't think I might have that one. I can't remember because Caroline picked me up a good one.
75 years of comic book of the artwork, and it's just absolutely stunning. Like it's just comic book. One. It's just like I picked it up mainly for figure photography, just because obviously it's got all the classic comic book covers and stuff across all the different Marvel
so
superheroes.
You can try and like recreate some and stuff.
So just to replicate them and just kind of like, yeah, and it goes all the way through to quite modern ones. I mean, when I say quite modern, I mean the latest one in there is 2013, so it's not really modern, but modern enough. So I picked this up, but then I saw the Star Wars one as well, and I was like, you know what? Chatting to you guys all the time, I know stuff about Star Wars, but I don't know as much as you guys. So I was kind of like, I need to read up.
Homework?
I gave myself some homework. No, I know the problem is that I know enough about Star Wars, but there are certain things that, especially with like the vintage collection, they're doing so many different characters and stuff that I was kind of like, I just wanted to fill in the gaps myself of the things that I didn't know. Like I know all the TV shows and all the movies and whatnot, but this one is definitely worth picking up if you get the opportunity. It's £30 on the cover, but you never pay that.
No, we're doing a book club now because look, Ash has got a box of books as well.
So I'm very lucky in the fact that Fan Home send me the Star Wars Encyclopedia every month.
Oh, nice!
And I get four books. It's like one a week basically. So I get 4 books sent every month, and they're basically like individual like encyclopedias. Like one's all about the Battle of Hoth and the Second Death Star and the entire storyline. Lightsabers and Jedi and their equipment.
Look at Ryan's face.
The Republic rebels and Resistance starfighters, all explained.
Ryan is like, there is a subscription.
And then the Luke Skywalker encyclopedia, his entire storyline from the farmer on Tatooine right through to One with the Force.
Ryan is like,
Ryan was. Until I saw my face on the screen. So you point out, I didn't realize I was doing that. That looks amazing.
But there is a subscription service out there for Star Wars that Brian has not signed up to, and he is just.
To be fair, and I'm not just saying this because they send me it. Genuinely, that is the one that if I weren't getting it for free, I would probably pay for it anyway because it is actually really good. Every week you get a new book, and it's not that much. It's only like I think it's £25 a month, which I don't think is that bad to get 4 books a month.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's really decent quality books as well, and they're all official Disney as well.
I mean.
Is it gonna go?
I love the part work. So I mean, I've unfortunately I have downsized my part work collection. So are you just messing with me now? I don't even know anymore. Oh, connection unstable.
We've got you. We've got you.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Part works before he runs out of the building screaming. So I love part works. I've got quite a few, but I've downsized a lot of them. So I had the Marvel graphic novel collection, the Mightiest Hero collection, Judge Dredd collection, 2000 AD collection, the DC graphic novel collection, the Legend of Batman collection, Transformers Ultimate collection, Warhammer collection, the Deadpool collection. But I've so far sold most of those, and the Star Trek graphic novel collection. So I had that many so far. I really have to downsize because it starts off good, and then you realize about space. That many collections, and they keep expanding them to like over 100 books each and stuff. So the Marvel ones have all gone because I've realized I wasn't reading them as much. So I've kept the DC graphic novel collection and the Legend of Batman and Transformers. Those three are my ones to keep. But now it might be Star Wars encyclopedias as well.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
sure.
really cool.
I'm not sure what Jacob gets sent these days, but I know he's getting sent a lot by Xavi like me. And if you do get the Threads box, you are guaranteed Eagle Moss books every single month. So
Nice. Yeah, no, I don't do that.
you don't get the Threads box.
Nah.
You are lucky.
No,
Mate. You're lucky.
I'm lucky. You get sent a
You're
free
lucky,
box.
mate.
To be honest with you,
I currently have 10 copies of the Mirrorverse storyline of Star Trek in graphic novel form that I don't know what to do with, thanks to getting them month upon month. It's hilarious unboxing it every single month, and the same book is in every single box. I've contacted Xavi several times, going, "Do you realize you've sent this book 10 times now? Like, if somebody's paying for this service, I'm sorry, but what?"
Wow. Yeah, no,
That's bad.
I was a big book collector. I collected like the Marvel graphic, Marvel. What do they call it? The part works one, the Eagle Moss one, where I did the one with the statues, the fact file one. I did that all the way through. I think it went. Yeah, and then I got into the books, the hardcover books,
Yeah,
where it was
that
like
was
a
the Marvel
different
graphic novel collection.
Yeah, it was like a central story. But then what annoyed me is that they didn't flow. So it was kind of like, you would have like the Phoenix saga, and then the next week you would have like a modern Iron Man graphic novel. And I was kind of
it's because they didn't want people to get disinterested, and also it means you subscribe because the spine art then becomes, because it's randomized, so that your spine art, it makes sure you subscribe to the end, because then you've got a half of like Iron Man twice, like you said, 1 week, and then the next minute it's all the way down here, and you've got Captain America's, America's ass, in that bit. And then it's like, so, but at least Eagle Moss are slightly better. They actually do them sequentially. Like the DC graphic novel collection, like if I stopped at any point, the spine art would still look good because they do it in a continuous order. But it's difficult with these things, because the problem is, if you were doing it in chronological order, like you said about the Phoenix saga, if you were getting it and you get like 2 issues a month, if you're not an X-Men fan and then suddenly you've got like 4 X-Men in a row, you might be like, and then you're much more of like an Iron Man fan. So I could sort of see why they need to mix it up a bit. But you're right, it does kill the flow of a story sometimes.
Go on.
Sorry, I was gonna say the best graphic novel I remember ever picking up as a kid was called the Marvel Essential line, and it was a big thick book, all black and white paper, inside. It was one of those big books, but it literally gave you the origin story of every character in like all the major characters of the Marvel universe, and every like there was about 10 of these things, and it basically ran through the entire history of Marvel for you in like 10 issues.
All right.
It was amazing, but each book were like that thick. They were massive. But do you remember those like old it was called Marvel Essentials, and they had like a color cover, but it was all black and white inside.
Yeah, I remember those ones.
Remember them? I used to love them, and they've stopped doing them now.
Like that as much anymore.
They don't do them at all now. They're all them fancy, glossy graphic novels that cost 20 quid a pop. But I remember those essential ones used to cost. They were $10.99. That's why I bought them, because they were like my parents could afford them. And once a month, my dad would take me to the store, and I'd pick up the next one, and I'd bought the entire Essentials line. So I had all the origin stories of every major character. So I remember reading the Human Torch story, but it wasn't the Fantastic Four Human Torch. It was the original Human Torch, and that threw me as a kid.
Oh, wow.
Because hasn't that guy got something to do with vision, if I remember, and all this kind of stuff? And it was just such a mind, cluster.
That's awesome, though, to have that there. But yeah, I've never been a big book person in regards to that. Like, I think because I had such a vast comic book collection at one point, collecting them in book form just kind of, I don't know, having copies of certain issues that I knew I couldn't obtain because they were too expensive kind of annoyed me, if that makes sense. So I was like, I can't say I've got it, and I can say I've read it, but I can't say I've got it because I haven't really got it. But yeah, it just, I don't know, it didn't really sit right with me as a comic book collector. But I don't know, now that I don't have as many physical comic books and it's all digital, I do actually enjoy picking up a book from time to time, just for that kind of old reminiscent flicking of the pages. So yeah, no, I saw these books and I was like, yeah, happy days. So they're good reads though. They're good reads. There's my little.
What were we talking about before? I've just realised. What was
Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Oh,
yeah.
Totally forgot where we were.
Yeah.
The other releases that they came out this week, just to put it back on topic, we had it was Toy Hideout at Toy Hideout. Found, I'm not sure if it was in his Target or whatever, but basically Target had released a bunch of the holiday Star Wars figures, which I'm not sure if Hasbro were meant to release or whether they're going to hold them off for another year or something, but they seem to be in stores now. But they randomly just dropped. It seems a bit late to be dropping them at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, you would think November sort of time would be when they dropped those.
And my mate Richard went to Forbidden Planet in London and sort of mentioned them, and they said that they know of them and they apparently can order them, but they won't arrive until like March. So the UK is going to get them, but it's going to be like mid-spring before we even see them.
They're a random line though, aren't they? Because like was it last year or the year before the first lot came out?
The year before.
Year before, wasn't it? And I remember they came out and people were really mixed. They were like, some people absolutely loved them and other people were like, what a waste. Like, why are you giving us a Darth Vader Christmas version? Like, but then afterwards,
I wish they gave us a Darth Vader Christmas version. They just gave us a bunch of Stormtroopers.
It was Stormtroopers, wasn't it? Sorry, didn't want to get any hopes up. There wasn't a Darth Vader. But no, come on, the Christmas jumpers aren't in there. But then they became like a cult thing, didn't they? And then everyone was really like, actually, I want those, and they became really sought after. So I'm not surprised they're revisiting it.
But to be fair, they seem to have taken the learnings from the last time where people did go, meh, what is that? Just a repainted Stormtrooper in green and red. Now they've actually added things to them, and they actually don't look that bad this time. Like you can get the Scout Trooper, which he actually has a Christmas jumper on now, and it's Grogu on the Christmas jumper, which I find quite funny. And he's got the satchel with the open lid, and it's got Baby Yoda in the satchel, just like in the episode where he kicks Baby Yoda and all that. So there's that. You've got that whole thing in like a holiday form now. Then they released
around the world.
Then they've got the white Wookiee with the blue hands and stuff, which looks awesome. The Yeti style, Wookiee.
That's cool.
They released a random Stormtrooper, which it does look like the last ones. It's got a mouse droid in it that just looks ridiculous in red and green. Sorry. But the ones that I think most people are going to want is the Mandalorian. You can get the Mandalorian, and he's in a Christmas jumper with the Mando symbol on it, and he looks really good.
Pretty cool.
He looks really good.
Is he standard colors with a Christmas jumper, or is he?
No, so he's all like, the head is the helmet is red with a green sort of V shape on it. Then he's got the red Christmas jumper with the red arms with green brassiers, do you want to call them? And then he's got his like red trousers on with green boots. It's very mishmash, but I think that one's going to be the popular one. It's Mandalorian. I think he'll be popular just because it's Mandalorian in a Christmas color.
Spoiler, man. Mandalorian Series 3. Series 3, that's his outfit.
And to be fair, I think most people are going to buy that and the Scout Trooper just so they get the Baby Yoda accessory, so they can put the Baby Yoda on the Mandalorian and have the whole Christmas theme, Mando and Baby Yoda together. But the protocol droid looks ridiculous. It's a white-headed protocol droid with a red body and a green scarf. It looks nuts.
Wow.
It just doesn't make sense.
Well, that is random. But no, I think that'll be popular. I think that whatever time of year they release them, I think there's enough of a following.
Toys on drugs.
What?
You broke up again, Ryan, but all that came out was, you're on drugs in this weird voice.
It's easier when you're on drugs.
No, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All I said was your action figures on drugs because of the color scheme.
It just sounded like things are easier when you're on drugs. It's like, well, Ryan is like in a different version of the Matrix right now.
I
But
give
yeah,
giving up.
Podcast, put the doobie down.
Today.
yeah. But no, it's I think that there's enough of a following of those holiday versions that they can drop them at any time, and enough people are going to buy them now. And especially if they're throwing in fan favorites like Grogu and Mandalorian. But yeah, no, I think that's cool. I think that's cool. I just remember didn't the first wave of them come with like candy canes instead of guns and stuff like that? It did, didn't it? Yeah. So I just remember seeing them and just thinking, no, I can't. Like, where does that even go on my collection? Like, but hey ho. Any other big toy news or anything else Star Wars related?
Nothing Star Wars related. But we did get
something on the old Marvel Retro news though.
Go on,
Steve Evans put in. There's a group for the Marvel Retro collection, and I've gone again, haven't I?
No, we got you. We got you.
Am I here?
Yeah, we got you.
I can never tell. Like, I'm just. You have to. It's like Sheldon. I'm gonna need like a little sign, like sarcasm sign, that just says "gone." I've gone again, haven't I?
No, you're fine.
Go.
Delay.
Don't waste your
time. I can't tell if you're
Peter.
listening to me.
We are.
I can't tell if people are listening or it's just frozen. Steve Evans put that he's prepping something for the future of the Marvel Legends Retro 3.75 collection. Needed help answering a simple question: why do you love Marvel Legends Retro 375? Pop a truthful sentence or two, and it will help him immeasurably for the future. So that means there is something obviously quite exciting coming for the Marvel Legends Retro Collection. That's so hard to say. I love that line so much. I mean, obviously scale wise, I'm a sucker for it. But like, I've got really big hopes because he's already confirmed that the Wolverine and the Phoenix that were just released as exclusives will not be in the next series, like the series 5, which a lot of people thought were. But so this is going to be some really exciting stuff coming with that. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm really on the fence with that wave. I'm not going to lie. I've seen them in hand. I've seen them in the stores and that. And I get why people love them. I get why there's that kind of nostalgic element to them as well. But I don't know. For me, collecting action figures is kind of an evolution of what I had as a kid, if that makes sense. Whereas looking at those, they look like the figures I had as a kid. And as a collector, that doesn't appeal to me. I would like to get the figures I had as a kid, but I don't want to buy new figures that look like the figures I had when I was a kid. Does that make sense?
I'm the same.
I'm
the same with you on that one.
Yeah.
If they were more articulated, if there were reimagined versions of the 3¾ inch Marvel Legends line, I'd be all over them. But
yeah, the same. Or even if they were just a scaled down version of the Marvel Legends that we have, I'd be all over them. But they seem so. When I know what they're capable of, when I know what they're capable with their Marvel kind of branding, it just, I don't know. There's not enough in it for me, and I'm not an inbox collector. And 90% of that for me is the box. Well, I know that once I take them out of the box, it'll be gone.
Can you imagine?
I think it's maybe it's just me. I think obviously you guys got your thoughts there, but mine is. I think I am like the old farmer. Like, reminds me of a simpler time, with the 5 points of articulation and only a limited number of details. That's my kind of collecting.
No, because like I'm all over it, because like I imagine that what they've done with the vintage collection and the play sets and the vehicles, things they've given us. Can you imagine what they could do with Marvel if they did that same scale? Yeah, exactly. If they did that same scale, they could give us the Quinjet. They could give us the Fantastic Car. There's so many things that could build in 3¾ inch.
Do you remember these guys?
Oh yeah. I've got loads of
the Marvel Universe.
So I've got loads. These
to me were massively reminiscent of what I had as a kid, because they reminded me of the figures I had as a kid, but they have all the same articulation as the Legends. Yep. And so they were really appealing to me. And I think if that line hadn't, because it died, didn't it? It finished up. And I think if it hadn't died, like you say, they could have given us so much. But what's interesting, this is where we go really down memory lane. I've still got one of my first Spider-Man.
Wow.
One of my very first Spider-Man figures. And a date on this as well. I don't even know what it is. 1984.
Wow.
So this is a 1984 Spider-Man. And when you hold the two next to each other, I was like, you know what? This is the modern version of this. You see his little eye. You can tell he's old. Look, don't wave me around. My arms all funny. But that was the update of these. But to see the retro ones, they're not quite what I had as a kid, but they're not quite this. And that's why they kind of miss me completely. If I had the space to kind of display all the boxes on the wall, then I think I probably would have jumped on it. And I can appreciate it as a brand and as a line, but for me, it doesn't give me that articulation.
The line makes no sense to me. As someone who opens toys, the line makes no sense to me. If I was an in-box collector, like say, that's a different story. Nice card backs, it looks nice. But as someone who's just going to rip them open, it just doesn't make sense.
No, but like this guy, let's say 1984, and he's got your 5 points of articulation, but I can't do anything. Like, that isn't Spider-Man. No. Do you know what I mean? It's, as a kid, it was like, yeah, Spider-Man.
I guess it's not so much. I can see what you're saying about like, the articulation thing, but like, so when I open mine, because I open my retro collection, Marvel
it's literally
figures.
Good for nothing. He's literally like, what is that for a pose? Like,
why couldn't I freeze on that part? Why did I have to be here for that?
And the little pointed foot.
Just because I think when I like that articulation, like Star Wars figures. I actually prefer the old 5 points of articulation. I am old school, but like when you say when you open the box you can't do anything with them, it depends, because my enjoyment out of them, like when I put them and scale them, that is how I son of a bitch. That's how I enjoy them though. I actually prefer when I have like my cantina scene, I fill it with characters. I'm ignoring it. just let it go, Ryan. You're gonna freeze in 2 minutes anyway. I look at it in my cantina scene. I fill it with 5 points of articulation figures from all sorts of lines, from modern, vintage, all sorts of things like that. But that's sort of my thing. I don't need them to be like, for me, like figure collecting and stuff like that, and the actual figures I display and what playability value I get out of them isn't about how articulate they are and how much I can pose them. It's about having that simple thing. I think because it's like an expansion of my childhood rather than an evolution of it. And I think maybe that's what I prefer differently. Is the expansion of it rather than the evolution.
I get that. I do get that, and that's why, as a Lion, I'm not slating it at all. I don't need a retro Spider-Man. I got one here. So yeah, no, I do get it as a Lion. I do get it as a Lion. But should I tell you why I always have it on my desk, right? Because I look at the most recent Spider-Man figure I got, and I look at one of my first. And it's really cool to kind of go, this is what I had and this is what I now have. But yeah, I don't know. I totally get it as a Lion, and I'm really pleased for those that enjoy it and that it's there, and that, you know, Hasbro are out there doing the kind of Kenner stuff that they can do. So that's brilliant, but it's just not for me.
Wow, that kills the conversation.
Deadly quiet. Oh.
Well, because I can't argue against it, because I don't collect Marvel Legends, so I can't argue against it.
Just like that, me and Ryan stopped being friends. Hasbro cut me off.
So one thing for me, just while we're about scaling stuff, so the thing that I've been enjoying a lot about the vintage collection, and Ryan's going to love me for saying this, one thing that I've been enjoying about the vintage collection, they scale with the original, with any of the old Star Wars toys that I own. They all scale together. And like my Ewok village, I've slowly been I've been removing, well, not removing, but putting the vintage characters in the back and then adding the newer figures to the front. So when I take photos and stuff, I've got loads of Ewoks in the background, but the more modern ones are at the front with the articulation. And like Ryan showed off, the more of the old play sets are still usable with the modern line of figures.
But that's 100%. What I think. That's why I think Star Wars have got that market covered, because there is that cross kind of ability. Whereas obviously for the Marvel ones, there's nothing to cross it over with. There's no.
I know, but there's so much that Marvel could do. Imagine if they give the Danger Room. You know what I mean? The Tony Stark Hall of Armors in 3 3/4 inch. There's so much they could do, and I would put money on there being a Marvel HasLab next year that's aimed at the retro line. If there was 2 coming out in the year, one would be aimed at your 6-inch, one would be aimed at your retro collection. That's my 2022 prediction. A 3 3/4 inch Quinjet would be amazing to go with all the X-Men they've released.
Quinjet, Danger Room, Daily Bugle, just a diorama, like a street, like almost like that NECA street scene.
Yeah.
Just some kind of 3/3/4 inch Marvel Universe HasLab project that would come in at like the £250 mark, but it would be able to house all of your figures or be used with all. That's my prediction for 2022. Just saying.
So
Nice.
The other thing that kind of came out this week was the Disney Mirrorverse by McFarlane. Not massive news to some people, but you know, I'm on the fence with this line still. I haven't been 100% sold by it. The 5-inch line left a lot to be desired with Wave 1, but they are giving us a bunch of new figures to keep it going. So we have got Donald Duck has been announced to go with Goofy, Mickey, which to be fair, he does look very good. They also gave us what everyone's loving is the Baloo, which is in his tailspin outfit, which is very 90s.
Yeah.
So people are going nuts about it because they're calling him Baloo, but it's the tailspin Baloo, isn't it? It's the pilot's jacket with the fur collar and stuff. It looks so good. Then they announced that we're getting I think Sully in the 5-inch line as well, but it's like the cursed version, whatever that means. So like it's something to do with the game. I suppose we'll find out when the game finally comes out. But they are giving us 2 more 6-inch figures as well, which the Genie is coming in 6-inch, which the Genie looks amazing.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. I'm really excited for that Genie figure. It looks like he's got double hinged elbows on it. He actually comes with every Genie figure they've ever released seems to have the legs, whereas this Genie comes with the actual like Genie tail bit with like a stand. So I'm looking forward to that because you don't get many Genie figures, like I say, with that look. So I like that. And then they're doing the whole gold label again, McFarlane. But to be fair, it looks good this time because they're giving us a Jack Sparrow all in purple and black, which is the ghostly Jack Sparrow or like the fractured Jack Sparrow, as they're calling it. But this time he comes with his sword and it just looks more like how he should have looked the first time round, in my opinion. Like a cursed version of Jack Sparrow with all purple accessories and things to go with him. It just looks badass.
That's cool.
And then they've randomly, do you remember when McFarlane released those giant, like a 12-inch Spawn and then a couple of the Fortnite ones? Do you remember them? Like 12-inch versions of the statues. Well, they're releasing those again. And this time they're going with the tank version of Sully in his yellow armor from the first wave, but he's now in the 12-inch format. And we're also getting Mickey Mouse as well, as Sorcerer Mickey in the big 12-inch as well. I think that one will be popular.
Yeah,
just because it's Sorcerer Mickey. Well. Yeah, I think Sorcerer Mickey will sell well in every size. And the fact that they're giving him in a bigger size, I think people will jump on that as a statue.
People would put that, even people that aren't action figure collectors would have that on the shelf somewhere, or you know,
just Disney fans in general.
In a dining room, on a shelf, or you know, in a window, on a windowsill somewhere. That's just Fantasia Mickey, isn't it?
Yep. And I think that was basically it for our most action figure news this week. Although I do have to tell you guys, I was very disappointed. So on Amazon this week, they finally dropped the Cobra Kai versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures from Playmates. Have you seen
did they?
Boys? So they're $38.99 each.
Right.
I ordered all 4. I sent all 4 back.
Oh, really?
For $38.99, it's the same turtle mold we've had 1,000 times from Playmates. They've just added a gi, like the robe. They've just added the robe to it, the gi, and literally that is it. And the human characters are all the same body with a different head on.
Oh,
like,
man.
It's cool that they're giving us Miguel and they're giving us I can't remember all the names, but yeah, they give us all the characters. Yeah, they give us all the characters from the program, but they're not scaled. So like the adult characters are the same size as the kid, and then you've got what's he called? The big what's he called? The big Cobra Kai guy, the evil guy. I don't want to play the evil, but
Billy Zabka, like the actor. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, the older guy.
Johnny Lawrence.
No, not Johnny. His master, his sensei from the first film.
Oh,
you know what? John Kreese.
Yeah, Kreese.
Kreese is the same size as Miguel, which makes no sense. I literally received that line and went, "What have I spent my money on? This is over £100." because it's it
In
was
an
what,
ordinate
2, 4, 6, 8.
universe.
It was like 80 quid, and I'm like, no, Amazon, return,
Wow.
please. It does not look as
Wow.
described. See ya.
That's a shame.
That's a shame.
That's a shame.
I was really disappointed, but then Diamond Select are going to be giving us the proper Cobra Kai figure, should we say, in a few months. So I'm just going to hold out for them now. I was hoping this was going to be a cheaper alternative in the meantime to give us the 4 characters from Cobra Kai, especially with the new series dropping in like a week's time. I'm stoked for that.
Well, they were just like a Poundland.
That was like a
version of
Poundland version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Cobra Kai. Nope.
That is a shame.
Yeah.
That is a shame. Yeah, there's not. I was kind of expecting. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of expecting there to be a lot more with the lead up to Christmas, and it doesn't feel like there was much.
Even in Transformers world, it's gone quiet. I mean, there's a few rumors going around about the studio series that they've got, that the next Dinobot's going to be Sludge, and that they're going to do a core class Spike from the movie. But this is, again, Transformers. Even that's been really quiet, other than rumors.
I remember the Hasbro team saying, "Get ready, December's going to be a busy month and an expensive month," but it doesn't feel like it has been. Personally,
no. I
wonder if a lot's been delayed. Obviously, the world's changing all the time right now. We've got more delays than ever right now. Chip issues, there's issues on materials and that. I wonder if it's just a knock-on effect.
I think maybe. I mean, because there's a handful of things on like Pulse, for example. There's things like talk about Marvel. There's the Shield 2-pack that we should have had by now that's been pushed back to January. There's the Lady Loki's been shipped out, but then there's a few of the others that that
we're not coming this
that were supposed to be coming. Like the classic Doctor Strange was supposed to be shipped out this week, and obviously that's been pushed back as well. So I think there's a lot of things that have been pushed, and I just think with certain properties that are out there, things like Hawkeye, No Way Home, and this is Marvel obviously, but with all of these things, we know there's going to be figure lines or there's going to be figure releases for these franchises and for these properties, and I just don't think that there was much else to go before Christmas. I think after Christmas we're going to get hit with a lot of reveals and a lot of kind of pipeline stuff. But I think you're right. I think that I still haven't got my Spider-Man No Way Home wave, and it should be with me in the next couple of days. But I know people that have had them and shops that have had them on shelf for ages, So things are taking their sweet time, unfortunately. But yeah, it wasn't quite that, which I was thankful for. I was expecting it to be a really heavy month, and it wasn't. So who knows? So indeed, as they pondered. But yeah, no, I think that rounds it up though. I think that kind of brings everything to a close. It has been a really busy week. I mean, we were definitely spoiled this week, whereas previous weeks there's not been a huge amount happening. But yeah, with everything that's been going on, it's been a massively popular week with reveals and releases and entertainment and whatnot. So this was our final show before Christmas. This was the big final one before Christmas. So what?
I was in fanfare. I don't know.
I was going to say, was that like your attempt of a party popper or something?
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the last show before Christmas, but we have got one more show coming out before the end of 2021. And 2021 has, without a doubt, been a really random, bizarre, up and down year for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And it's definitely kind of had a knock-on effect, both positive and negative. If you think about being in the lockdown, we got treated by Disney Plus with all these different shows and stuff, and we were able to theorize and stuff, and then we finally had the borders lifted and figures have come through thick and fast. So there is going to be lots to talk about. So I think next week what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of a roundup of the year, the Geek Week, the Geek Year in review. But we're not going to go deep. We're not going to go deep because otherwise it would take all day to talk about it all. So we're simply going to strip it back to the top 3 across 3 different platforms. So our top 3 figures, and this can be from any line, any brand, any franchise, just your top 3 figures. And they don't have to be figures in hand. They don't have to be figures that you actually have in hand, but they have to have been released this year. We'll talk about our top 3 movies, and again, this can be anything. And we'll talk about our top 3 kind of Disney Plus moments, with the exception of maybe TV. If there's something really exciting that happened on Netflix or or BBC One or something like that, then obviously you can bring that into your top 3 as well.
Do not badmouth the British Broadcasting Company.
You know what I mean? If you're a big Downton Abbey fan or something, and Downton Abbey wants to make it into your top 3, then be our guest. But we'll go through that. We'll do that. And it'll be good. It'll be a good way of rounding up the year. But yeah, anything else that you guys want to add to this show before we kind of round it up?
That's kind of it for this week, I think.
No, I think
Merry Christmas.
I was going to say, yeah, I think to anybody that is
animal.
watching, and obviously anyone that has been supporting us this year, it's very much appreciated. And obviously all 3 of us here at the Geek Week in review, hope that you have a fantastic Christmas. So tune in next week. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Check out the description below. All the guys' details are down there. Give them a follow if you don't already. And obviously do like, share, subscribe to the show. And we will see you next week for our end of 2021 Geek Week in review. So until then, keep it geek.
Keep it geek.
Keep it geek.
The Geek Week in Review.